Summer in the Kizilkum Desert is unrelenting. For centuries, anyone approaching the ancient Silk Road oasis of Bukhara had to endure miles of sweltering, sun-baked earth before reaching the safety of its walls. And at the heart of that city sat the Ark Fortress. With its massive, sloping stone walls, this was the absolute impenetrable political center for the ruling emirs. It was built to keep threats, and everyday people, out. But an emir cannot rule through isolation alone. While the heavy walls guaranteed his physical safety, he still needed a way to visibly demonstrate his divine right to rule to the masses. To balance the deep paranoia of the fortress, the emir required a perfectly crafted public stage. He needed an architectural opposite, positioned right across the square. This spatial diagram shows exactly how that stage was set. Directly opposite the fortress lies the Registan, the city's main public square. Cutting into that space is the Haus, a life-giving pool that served as a vital water source for the desert city. Rising from the edge of the water is the Bolu Haus Mosque. Unlike the heavy fortress, it is open, defined by slender, inviting columns that pull you in from the glaring heat of the public square. Every week, the emir would emerge from his stone stronghold and make the Friday walk across the dusty square to this exact spot. Here, without the massive walls blocking the view, he placed himself directly in the public's line of sight. Bolu Haus operated as a highly calculated theater. It was a space where the absolute authority of the emir briefly appeared accessible, framed by the most striking architecture in the city. Count the intricately carved 12-meter-tall wooden columns supporting the roof, exactly 20. Yet this is universally known as the Mosque of 40 Pillars. The math seems completely off until you look down at the water. The artificial pool served a dual purpose. When perfectly still, it acts as an enormous mirror, visually duplicating the columns to complete the design. This overlaid guide shows how precise the setup is. To see the full 40 pillars, you need to stand on the opposite bank when the wind drops completely and wait for the precise angle of the morning or late afternoon sun to light the facade. The defining image of this building doesn't exist in the physical materials alone. It relies on a delicate, intentional partnership between the architect's woodwork and the local environment. Stepping off the blindingly bright square and into the deep shade of the Iwan, the traditional summer porch, you immediately feel a drastic drop in temperature. This cross-section shows how the deep eaves block the brutal, direct rays of the Bukharan summer sun. Meanwhile, those 12-meter columns mimic a dense palm grove. They draw hot air up and out, generating a continuous, cooling breeze for the worshippers below. In 1917, the architect Shireen Muradov added a miniature minaret to the site. Its slender profile establishes a perfect vertical rhythm that echoes the towering lines of the porch columns. The entire front section of Bolu Haus acts as a massive passive climate control machine, engineering physical comfort in a place where the summer heat is unforgiving. Once inside that cool microclimate, you have to look directly upward. While the floor is simple, the ceiling reveals a highly detailed display of craftsmanship. At the very top of each column are mukarnas, intricate carved wooden stalactites. By breaking the massive weight of the roof into hundreds of tiny, overlapping geometric facets, the heavy timber suddenly appears light and weightless. Woven through those carvings is a vibrant explosion of color. Rich blues, deep greens, and golds form complex floral patterns that offer a striking visual relief from the dusty beige of the desert outside. The emir didn't put his wealth on the outer walls for anyone walking by to see. He suspended it overhead, reserving the true luxury of the space for those who stepped inside the sanctuary. By the 1920s, the political landscape of Bukhara collapsed. The emir's regime fell, and the new Soviet authorities began radically altering the ancient city. Many of the historic structures surrounding Registan Square were torn down. Bolu Haus lost its religious status and was briefly stripped down and repurposed into a secular workers' club. Yet the authorities couldn't entirely erase it. Because the building was so deeply integrated into the daily flow of the city, its climate, its water, and the habits of the people, it completely survived the massive urban purges. The architecture outlasted the specific dynasty that commissioned it. It remained standing because its design offered genuine, practical utility to the local population, no matter who was in charge. Today, you can see how well that utility has held up. The intricate tilework and carved wood have been beautifully preserved, but they certainly do not sit empty. Bolo House has reclaimed its original purpose. It is an active Friday mosque, filled weekly by local believers. It serves the community, rather than acting as a static backdrop for tourists. Because it is an active place of worship, anyone visiting needs to adapt to its rhythm. That means wearing modest clothing and practicing quiet observation. You have to stand perfectly still to let the cooling airflow and the serenity of the space wash over you. 3 centuries after the first column was raised, Bolo House continues to do exactly what it was engineered to do. It provides a cool, serene refuge, breathing quietly alongside the people of Bukhara.